as you can see, it's sunny in Jerusalem. As a matter of fact, the weather is warming up a bit, temperature is rising. After a few cloudy days and some rain, now it's getting a little warmer, and we have about 18 degrees in Jerusalem today. I have no idea how much Fahrenheit that is. It's, I think, something a little below 80 maybe when it comes to Fahrenheit. Okay, I've been neglecting this English channel for a while, and also my English blog, and I'm really trying to catch up a bit. And as many people, not many people, but some people have asked me how I feel, how everything is going with chemotherapy, with the cancer treatment, and if I'm still alive. Yes, I am, and I want to talk about it a little today, and also mention a certain kind of problem that people who don't really know too much about cancer, but let's say just read the articles in the media, online, whatever, what kind of imagination they have, or how they imagine a cancer patient. Because you all know this from Steve Jobs, for instance, from Apple, when he was diagnosed with cancer and treated eventually, and that he lost a lot of weight. He looked like kind of skeleton something. So this is many times how people imagine cancer patients. This is really true. I'm really sorry about the sun shining in through the kitchen window. I can't help it, but I think it's mostly the topic I'm talking about and not really looking at me, because I look like a cancer patient, so it's not too interesting. So a few days ago, actually today is Friday, on Tuesday, I had a PET CT scan here in Jerusalem at Shaarei Tzedek Medical Center, and while I was waiting for the scan, I got a phone call. It was like spam. Okay, you have this a lot in Israel, that people just call you from call centers, whatever. But this woman calling me, she was not sitting in a call center, but she was at her office, and it was an insurance agent, like she wanted to sell a certain service, and she asked me if she can help me to find suitable insurances for me, and maybe healthcare and something, if she can analyze it and tell me, of course, for a fee. So I told her that at the moment I'm in the hospital, I'm waiting for my PET CT scan, I am on chemotherapy, and that I'm a cancer patient. And I said, so I suppose that no insurance company or other healthcare, except for my healthcare, would be interested to have me, because I'm a cancer patient, you know, stage 4 leiomyosarcoma, and so I'm not the ideal insurance customer, or client. So no one is interested in me, because there is this imagination when it comes to business and everything, that a cancer patient like me is not really, doesn't bring any advantages, but is almost dead or about to die, and whatever. So she said, yes, you are right. But she said, I have to tell you, this was before she hung up, and she wasn't interested in me anymore. So she said, but you know what? You don't sound like it. You don't sound sick or anything. And I said to her, you know, how am I supposed to sound? Like, I don't know, a certain kind of breathing, like almost dead or whatever. And so she hung up. But, you know, it struck me a bit that, because a friend of mine helping me a lot, she always says, like, if I didn't know you, you know, I would never, and I just saw you in the street or something, I would never guess that you have cancer. Stage 4, like, 2 heavy-duty surgeries, and I'm on my 4th chemotherapy right now. And she said, I would never, I'd never think that you have cancer, that you have like, call it lethal cancer or whatever, that you are like this. But only, she said, when someone is with you on a daily basis, or let's say a few times a week, they really see that you are different, that you are exhausted, that you are not energetic, that you have difficulties doing something, because first of all you're nauseous, and then you're fatigued and whatever. All this you only see when you are with a cancer patient on chemotherapy or right after surgery, when you are with a cancer patient almost on a daily basis, or as I said, a few times a week. When you see someone only once a month, and he or she looks like me, so you don't really think. I have acquaintances, I have someone like, she comes, I don't know, every 2nd month or something, whatever, and when they do barbecue, she brings me some food, something, and she asks me, so how are you doing? And I say, oh, it's still the same, I'm on chemotherapy. And she sees me like this, so she says, oh, okay, and she probably tells all her friends and family, oh, Miriam, you know, she's on chemotherapy, but she's fine, never mind. And the same with you. When you see me here on these videos, you think, you know, I just speak normal, I look normal, according to what you think or what you see, and okay, everything is okay. But actually it's not. I'm on heavy-duty treatment, and I have to say that this chemotherapy I'm on now, I've been on since the beginning of March. It's called Yondelis, or another word for it is trabectedin. It's been the hardest chemotherapy I've been on so far. I've had 3 other different chemotherapies before, but this one is really, the others were hard enough, but this one is really hitting me, like nausea. And my oncologist had to give me, had to prescribe, I had to get an approval from the Israeli Health Ministry for cannabis drops, for medical cannabis. This helps me a lot against nausea. I put 1 or 2 drops underneath the tongue, and it helps within seconds, because my regular anti-nausea pills, Pramin and Sufran, as you may know, it doesn't help. And I threw up, and so I got the drops, and I'm very happy with them. And it helps me a lot against nausea, but I have to take them a few times a day. And I have to carry them, you know, when I go out, when I go somewhere to the family doctor, medical treatments, whatever, or even to the supermarket. I always have to carry the drops with me, because it could come anytime. And the worst is fatigue. And next week I'm having another trabectedin treatment. And the first, let's say, 2 weeks after the treatment are the worst. And then I'm now, at this moment, I'm a little more than 3 weeks after the last treatment. So the 3rd week I start to recover, but then the 4th week I'm having treatment again. So everything starts anew. But the first 2 weeks are really bad. The first week is really bad with nausea, so the drops are coming into action. And the fatigue is like the first week especially. Like 3-4 days I only sleep. I make it to the toilet, which is an accomplishment. But otherwise, sometimes I can't even shower in the evening because I'm so weak. So I have to shower the next morning. Or I have to shower whenever I have the strength to make it into the shower. You know, sometimes I feel like in an old age home or something. But coming back to this insurance agency call, spam call, a lot of people you know, it's like when I go outside, when I go shopping, when I go here to Machane Yehuda market, or when I go on the bus or somewhere, you know, I'm not getting on a bus saying, hello, I'm a cancer patient. I'm not. I don't tell anybody. I'm not announcing it to everyone. I just want to be like everybody else and being treated like everybody else. This is very important to me and my mindset, because I'm very positive. And I'm not this, as I told you before, I'm not this whining person laying in bed and whining to everybody and you know what I mean? I'm not that. I try to, or I basically have, I don't try. I have a normal day. But I have to see every morning when I get up how I feel, how my strength is, if I can make it outside or if I can't make it. Every day is different and I have to see. But especially the first week after treatment, it's very hard, so I can't really go anywhere because of nausea and especially because of fatigue, because I just fall asleep all the time and I don't have the strength. I mean, I get up in the morning, I put on clothes and I try to make some food and everything fine. Also to have coffee. Coffee is the most important. But then, in the meantime, I always have to sit down. I also have to sit down now, even 3 weeks after treatment. I always have to sit. I do something, I put on clothes, and I have to sit and rest. And then I can heat up some water. I don't have a coffee machine or something, a coffee maker I don't have. And so I do this on my own with a filter. And, you know, I put water into the kettle. I have to sit and wait anyway for the water to boil, but never mind. But there are always actions where I have to sit. And also when I prepare food, and let's say I peel potatoes, I sit while I'm peeling the potatoes. I got used to it, but as I said, people from the outside don't see that. They see me outside, they don't know me, and they think that I walk normal, although I walk much slower, but I also have to sit on benches many times. Sometimes I go from bench to bench. And I have to sit and rest because I just can't do it. And this is what people don't see. And people, let's say you see me here on the video and you think, oh, as I said, you know, I talk normal, I behave normal, I move in a normal way as you think, and that's it. I used to follow someone on Facebook. He was English and he had a different kind of sarcoma as I have, and he was, I think, 32 or 33 years old, and he had a tumor, as far as I understood, next to his heart, which was growing further and further towards the heart and finally probably squeezing it. And in such situations when you have something very close to the heart, so the doctors don't really operate on you anymore, so he was on chemotherapy, whatever, radiation, but nothing really helped. And at a certain point he said that he just let go. So he's not having treatment anymore, but he wants to enjoy his life by following his hobbies. You know, he liked to hike and to ride a mountain bike, so he went out in nature. He had a little van, and he went on hiking all over England and Scotland, whatever, knowing that he is going to die, as the doctor said, probably within a year. And so he published his hiking pictures on Facebook, and people wrote to him that, you know, he's just a parasite and he's not sick because look at you, you are hiking, you are mountain biking, whatever, you don't look sick, you just look normal, so go and look for a job. And he was very shocked, and he really died within a year. He died this year in February, which was very, very sad. And until a month before, he stopped publishing pictures. I think he by then looked really bad, but he don't really want to see everybody how you look, how you're about to die. And until a month before something, you couldn't see anything. So it's just like, you know, many times you can't see anybody. When I go for treatment to the oncology here at Sha'arei Tzedek Medical Center, you know, there are people on treatment, on chemotherapy, I would never identify as a cancer patient outside. Let's say I was on a bus or in the supermarket or in the street or somewhere, I would never identify them as a cancer patient because they look so normal. So let's say a guy is losing hair, so what do you think? He could just be bald. And a woman losing hair, so most women losing hair, and by the way, not every chemotherapy is causing hair loss. There are chemotherapies where you still have your hair or thinner hair. But women usually cover their head when they are bald from chemotherapy. So you don't really know, and many times I see couples coming into the oncology and I don't even know who the patient is going to be, if it's the husband or the wife, because you just don't see this from the outside. Of course, you have cancer patients that are in a wheelchair that are look like skeletons and that are really, really bad, and they lost a lot of weight and everything. But many patients, what outsiders don't expect too much is, many patients, myself included, they put on a lot of weight. Also because we are limited in our movements, because we are tired all the time. You know, you walk, I don't know, along the street or something, and you are so exhausted that you have to rest. And I'm always happy when I'm back home, when I was out, because then my day is finished. I just sit down and I fall asleep. And yeah, it's like a little nightmare, but it's not always true. And many cancer patients do put on a lot of weight, also because of the steroids you get, like the cortisone, and also the treatment itself. I think the body gathers also lots of fluids, and so it's not always that people look like Steve Jobs or like a skeleton or whatever, but a lot of people put on a lot of weight and they are bigger, let's call it this way. So it's not as many outsiders imagine, because the media gives you a certain kind of, I don't know, a certain kind of stereotype idea about how a cancer patient looks and how he suffers, and it gives you the impression that everybody's, you know, everybody diagnosed or on treatment is half dead anyway, lost a lot of weight, is in a wheelchair, and I don't know, breathing heavily, or I don't know, or hardly breathing, basically almost dead. But no one, you know, before I was diagnosed, I may have thought the same, so I'm not blaming anyone. My mother died of breast cancer, and she also looked more or less normal until the end. She did not undergo chemotherapy treatment because with her it went very fast that she died. She looked weak, but otherwise, and she behaved weak. But to an outsider looking at her in the street, he may have noticed that she walked slowly, but you know, when someone walks slowly and you don't know, so you don't really expect anything. Someone walks slowly, fine, but you also didn't really see anything. It's really sometimes bothering or annoying or frustrating or funny even when people get to know that you have cancer and they say, oh, they think I'm joking, or I don't know, or someone else is joking, and they say, what? But you look so normal. You don't look sick. But these people, even doctors, they don't know what's going on when you are at home. So you have to function as a cancer patient, also in chemotherapy. You have to function when you are outside, going to the supermarket or going to the to see any doctor, going for treatment. So you have to function more or less because you have to get there. And you sit there and everything. So you have to function. And you can function more or less. But so people see you functioning. But they don't see you at home. They don't see you, you know, when you finally get home afterwards and you are totally exhausted. That's it, you are totally finished for the next few days. And people don't see that. People don't have no clue what's going on at home. How you are functioning and how you are doing. And yeah, you can say, okay, I can make breakfast, I make coffee, and it sounds like, oh, you're having a normal life, everything is just fine. So you can make food and boil some rice and eat vegetables, whatever. So, and you're going out, so yeah, you're basically fine. But we don't lay in bed, or many people don't lay in bed for 24 hours and whine along. I think it is, as I said before in videos before, it is very important to get up, to put on clothes, and you know, to have, even if you can't work, to have a more or less normal life, and you need a certain kind of mindset. And then people see you functioning, but you are not functioning. So I go outside and sweep the porch every second morning outside the door. I sweep the porch. So my neighbors may think, oh, she's sweeping the porch, so fine, as everybody else. But so I sweep the porch for a few minutes, and then I'm inside again, and then I have to sit and rest for 20 minutes, half an hour. This is what people don't see outside. It's very hard to explain, and you can't think in a stereotype way, just according to what you see and what you may think the situation is. So people will also tell me, oh, you look just great, so go to work, what's your problem? To me it is very important to be among healthy people. I could not have people surrounding me who are all sick, unless they are like me. Because they may be whining and only talking about the illness. I don't really talk too much about the illness, more about the side effects. I'm tired or nauseous. But when you are among healthy people, I have the feeling, I can only talk about myself, it's they drag you in a way with you, because they have all this energy to do things, even to walk faster. I can walk well, a little fast, but not that bad, and not that much, and then if I do it, so I have to sit. Next bench is reserved for me. But I feel much better among healthy people because they give me a certain kind of energy. So I feel like maybe I can do more, not to show off, but it's a feeling I have for myself. So I can do more, but at the same time I realize how limited I am. I can do more, yes, for a few minutes, say for 5 or 10 minutes maybe, and then I'm totally worn out. But I still feel better among healthy people. I couldn't have this whining. So that's very important to me. It is frustrating that I'm always getting new tumors or tumor growth, or something new is popping up. This is very frustrating. I have not received my result from the PET CT yet. I do expect nothing too good, because I have something really growing, a tumor in my lower stomach on the right side. It pushes, it hurts, and it really bothers me. Again, you see me sitting here on a chair and you think everything is fine. You don't know that I'm in pain. I mean, I'm telling you now, but you wouldn't know that I'm in pain unless I told you, and you wouldn't know anything that a new tumor is growing. Or maybe one of the old ones is growing, stopped shrinking, caused by the chemotherapy, and is now growing, or maybe it is something new, I don't know, but it's really frustrating. And I have to wait for the PET CT result first, which is coming in another few days, next week probably. And then the oncologist and I have to decide how we continue, but maybe it's another surgery if the tumor has grown too big already, always depending on the size of the tumor, or if chemotherapy is enough, but then we have to change chemotherapy because apparently this one doesn't help enough. But again, when I walk out of the oncology, and even when I'm inside the hospital still, and you know, you have staff running around, and visitors running around, patients running around, everybody running around, and employees, there are certain shops, a bookshop, burger spa, coffee shops, bakeries, whatever you can buy there. So, you know, people don't identify you as a cancer patient. And they don't know if you are visiting or if you are sick when you have normal clothes, not the hospital clothes. So they don't know. And, well, most people probably identify me or see me as healthy. But it's very sad, all this stereotype way of thinking of outsiders. You only know what's going on when you are either a cancer patient yourself, or when you are someone from the family or friends, whatever, when you see a cancer patient on treatment on a daily basis or a few times a week. Then you really see what's going on. But otherwise, if the patient looks normal, like me, I don't look normal, but you know what I mean. So you think there's nothing wrong. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong. Maybe someone is making fun, or I don't know. But cancer reality, if you're on treatment, is very hard. But as I said, you have to be optimistic. Although this new tumor thing now growing, and when I touch it, it hurts. When I touch the side, it already hurts. And when I lay in bed, and you know, in bed, you're moving around from this side to the other side, whatever, or your hands are here, your arms are moving around. You know, when I touch the side, when I just get to the side where this tumor is growing on the right, so it already hurts and I wake up. This is really frustrating, and you can be as positive as you want, but you know, in September everything looked so great, like my 2 tumors below the liver were shrinking due to chemotherapy, and I have 3 nodules in the lungs, left and right, and so I talked at Hadassah and Kerem Hospital, where I had radiation last year, on one of the nodules on the left side. We met, and he told me, you know, if the other nodules on the right keep on growing, so we're gonna have more SBRT, meaning radiation. And everything looked so great, and my goal is like to have a normal life again without treatment and do some work and just be like a normal person. And then suddenly something new pops up, and this is very frustrating, and there's nothing else I can do at the moment. Taking painkillers and wait for the PET-CT result and meet the oncologist and talk about what's next. So all these thoughts and what's going on and the pain, and I'm not walking around outside screaming in pain. I don't do this. So this is what outsiders don't see, and they have no clue. So they just expect someone, you know, like a skeleton and half dead. Unfortunately, this is the public opinion many times, not everybody, but many times. And I do not blame those people, because if I were an outsider and I wouldn't be confronted with the whole subject, and I weren't a cancer patient, so I would think like the majority. And I also saw, years ago, I also saw Steve Jobs, and I thought like, oh my God, he lost a lot of weight, so he's about to die, which doesn't necessarily have to be true, but many times it is. So what can I say? That's a public opinion, but reality for a cancer patient looks very different. So hopefully you won't get any cancer. You will have lots of energy and enjoy your day. Have a good day.